Good evening, everyone. I'm here as Mr Sturdee's avatar, standing in for him as he wasn't able to make it tonight, and he sends his apologies for missing the evening. Now, I should warn you, I don't have his South African accent, and I might not pronounce everything quite the way he does. But perhaps that's no bad thing. The real point is this. At St Augustine's, we're beginning to use new technologies like this to make our communication with students and parents clearer and more engaging. It's all part of preparing young people for the world they're growing into. Teaching and learning are at the very heart of what we do at St Augustine's. This evening, I want to share our philosophy, how we create the right culture for learning, how we support our teachers to keep improving, and how we prepare our young people for a future that is changing faster than ever before. Everything we do in teaching and learning is rooted in our Lasallian values: faith in the presence of God, respect for all persons, concern for the poor and marginalized, quality education, and building an inclusive community. These values guide us in the classroom every day and shape the way we help every child to flourish. At St Augustine's, behaviour is not simply about rules, it is about values. Our policy is built on a single principle: every young person has the right to learn free from disruption. This means two things. First, your child's learning is protected. No one has the right to distract them. Second, when mistakes are made, we respond in a way that restores relationships. If a student disrupts, they receive a clear warning. If the behaviour continues, they are removed from the lesson, not as punishment, but as a pause, giving space for reflection. What matters most is the restorative conversation afterwards. Teacher and student meet, they repair trust, and they agree clear targets before returning to class. Parents are always informed of that outcome, so we work in partnership. This approach is very much in line with our Lasallian values. St John Baptist de La Salle taught that relationships must be at the centre of education. We believe in dignity for every child, inclusion for all, and in teaching one of the most precious gifts a young person can develop: self-control. Research shows that self-control is a life skill that leads to happier, healthier, more successful futures. That's why we say one warning is fair. It shows we care. Our students tell us they value this policy. They know lessons are calm and purposeful, and they feel confident that their learning time will not be wasted. And because the foundations are secure, we can then focus our energy where it matters most, on exceptional teaching and learning. Our behaviour policy gives us the foundation, but it is through our teachers that learning comes alive. At St Augustine's, we take professional growth seriously. Every member of staff, from newly qualified teachers to senior leaders, receives regular coaching. This isn't about fixing weaknesses. It is about creating a culture where every teacher is a learner too. St John Baptist de La Salle pioneered teacher training because he believed young people deserved the very best. We carry that same belief today. By engaging in coaching, our staff remember what it feels like to be learners. That builds empathy and helps them support your children with patience, understanding, and ambition. We also make time for reflection, because real growth comes not only from experience, but from pausing to ask, how can I do this better next time? This commitment to learning together means our staff are always building on the latest research, refining their practice, and pushing towards excellence. At St Augustine's, our coaching is always grounded in evidence about how learning happens. This simple model is one we use to keep our focus clear. It begins with selecting the right curriculum, making sure what we teach really matters. Then comes securing attention, because without focus there is no learning. We look at how clearly ideas are communicated, how far students are challenged to think deeply, and how feedback helps them improve. Finally, we revisit and consolidate knowledge so it is remembered in the long term. By using this model, our teachers share a common language and a common goal: to keep refining the way they teach so that every student learns more, remembers more, and can do more over time. At St Augustine's, we are proud to be a school that looks to the future. Alongside our strong coaching culture, we use Starlight, the UK's first AI coaching platform for teachers, developed here in our own school. It gives staff quick insights into their lessons, helping them keep improving for the benefit of every student. This isn't about replacing people, it's about helping our staff reflect and keep improving. By using AI for their own professional learning, our teachers are also better placed to guide students in using AI wisely and effectively as a learning tool. It shows our commitment to excellence, innovation, and preparing young people for the world they are growing into. Feedback is one of the most powerful tools we have to help young people make progress. At St Augustine's, we hold ourselves to the STAR principles. It must be specific so pupils know exactly how to improve. It must be timely so it comes while learning is still fresh. It must address literacy and pride so work is presented well and with care. It must be acted upon with pupils responding to the guidance they are given. And it must be regular so progress is steady and consistent. This isn't just about marking books, it's about creating a learning culture where children understand how to get better and where parents can hold us accountable to doing feedback well. It reflects our Lasallian values too, respect for every individual, a belief in growth and the conviction that with the right support, every young person can flourish. Our Words, Wisdom and Worship program is unique to St Augustine's. It brings together three strands that shape the whole person. Words, exploring rigorous and diverse texts that build literacy and cultural capital. Wisdom, drawing on Catholic social teaching to reflect on moral questions, justice, dignity, peace and care for creation. Worship, grounding learning in faith and helping our young people reflect on who they are and how they live. Together, these strands ensure that our students don't just learn knowledge, they grow in values, empathy, and understanding of the wider world. This is our Catholic literary journey, one that develops articulate, reflective young people, ready to contribute meaningfully to an ever-changing world. For Year 10 and Year 11, this journey continues through the books they will study together this year. Year 10 will read I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys, a powerful story of courage and integrity set in communist Romania. It helps students think about truth, freedom, and the cost of standing up for what is right. Year 11 will read Orange Boy by Patrice Lawrence, a gripping novel that explores identity, choices, and the pressures young people face in modern society. It links directly to themes of dignity, responsibility, and solidarity. These texts don't just develop literacy, they give our young people the chance to wrestle with moral questions, to see the world through different eyes, and to reflect on how our Lasallian values apply in their own lives. Philosophy for Communities, or P4C, is an important part of our approach at St Augustine's. Once a term, the whole school pauses to reflect on the same big question. In these sessions, students are encouraged to share ideas, listen carefully to others, and think deeply about different perspectives. It helps them become more reflective, more open-minded, and more confident in making decisions. P4C is not about finding the right answer, it is about learning to ask better questions. It builds critical thinking, empathy, and respect, while strengthening the sense of community across the school. Most importantly, it prepares our young people for a world where adaptability, dialogue, and ethical reflection matter just as much as academic success. The world our children are growing into is changing faster than ever before. The World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children entering primary school today will go on to work in jobs that do not yet exist. That's why our role at St Augustine's is not only to teach knowledge, but to prepare young people with the skills, values, and resilience they will need to thrive in an uncertain future. Through strong foundations in literacy, philosophy, and faith, combined with innovation in teaching and learning, we are equipping students to think critically, adapt to change, and use new technologies responsibly. In short, we are preparing them not just for exams, but for life. In this part of the evening, we want to pause and think about some of the bigger questions facing education today. Should schools continue to prioritise traditional academic subjects, or should we be focusing more on adaptability and critical thinking? Was education better in the past, or will it be better in the future? What exactly is the role of school? Is it just about exams, or is it also about preparing young people for life? What has been the overall impact of technology on your child's life? Do we need to teach our children and ourselves how to step away from technology at times? Why is it that so many of us feel compelled to keep checking online? Can phones actually have a positive impact on mental health? And if so, how? Is it possible to find a healthy balance? And how do we help young people achieve it? And finally, is the rapid rise of artificial intelligence something we should fear, or something we should celebrate? These are not easy questions, but they are the questions our children will inherit. At St Augustine's, we believe part of our job is to help them wrestle with these ideas, so they are ready to face the future with wisdom and courage. Thank you for joining us this evening and for the vital role you play in supporting your child's education. If you have any questions or would simply like to talk more about what you've heard tonight, please don't hesitate to get in touch with Mr Sturdee. He'll be very glad to hear from you.